Hepburn was not like any other actor or actress out there.
She just had magnetism. People loved her.
I mean, there were wonderful female stars at the time, but there was nothing quite like her.
What's the moment when, in some way, the mask slips? What are those other kind of like personal, more intimate moments? What do they look like? How do they feel?
In Audrey's life, there was a lot of conflict, and yeah, she had a certain sort of sadness about her.
If I've been successful, the audience, the people, see something that I don't see.
She and Mel had a long, fairly happy marriage, but they sort of drifted apart.
She is a perfect example of somebody who was an artist and dedicated herself to her art and found her true calling through the art of love and giving love to those who didn't have it, just as she experienced when she was a child.
I think she had to kind of prove to herself that unconditional love was possible.
The writer and director of the new documentary. I mean, most of us have seen so many documentaries in the past. What makes this documentary different to you, in your own words, as the writer?
I think for me, obviously there's been lots of documentaries made about Audrey before, but they've always been kind of surface level TV docs about her career, essentially. And I wanted to make a film that was about the woman behind that career and who she really was, rather than just who people kind of know her as through her films. So I think this documentary is it's very special, and it was a very, very emotional piece of work to make. It was a real labor of love, and I uncovered, never before heard interviews and never before seen footage of her. We, obviously got interviews with her son and her granddaughter and those closest to her. So it's a documentary that really shows the woman behind the beautiful face in this kind of perfect image. It's about kind of deconstructing that myth of who everyone thought she was.
I loved in this documentary that you have some Audrey actually narrating part of the documentary. That's new. Yeah. So did you originally have this idea of trying to do that, or did it just kind of come up from hearing new material?
No, so from the get-go, I always wanted her to kind of tell her own story. I think it was really important for me to show her as much as possible through her own words and her own thoughts and ideas. So when we were editing the film, that's how we started it. Kind of the backbone of the film was just all the different interviews with her, from her time in the war, talking about that, to her last days. And then we would interview the contributors, and we'd get archive and kind of feed it all in. But I always wanted to make sure that Audrey's words were the backbone of the film.
Mm-hmm. And like you mentioned before, and I did get to watch the documentary, you have some of her, you have her son, Sean, and the granddaughter, Emma. Were they part of this film from the beginning, or did you have to reach out, and what was their reaction to wanting to be part of it?
Yeah, so Sean in particular was on board from the beginning, and that was really important. If we didn't have his involvement, I probably wouldn't have made this film, because he gave us access to things and to people that we otherwise just wouldn't have found. People, like Pierre Luigi and Helena in the film lived with her at La Paisible, and I would never have been able to find them any other way. And also Emma, he trusted me, and he trusted my vision and trusted what we wanted to do with the film. So he brought Emma on board, and that was really, really special to have her involvement. I think when we first approached Sean about the film, he wanted to know why we wanted to make it, and I'd written a long treatment which we developed, and he saw that it was going to look at her life from a totally new and different point of view. So he was super excited about it, and they both really love the film, which means a lot to me. When we sent Sean the final cut, he was just so over the moon, and it really meant a lot that he felt that I'd discovered something, a new side of her that people hadn't seen.
What was it like interviewing him?
It was great. Yeah, we went to Italy where he lives. It was wonderful to meet him, and just to, you know, we sat down before the interview and spoke a bit about Audrey and what my intentions were for the film, and it was intimidating, I won't lie, you know, knowing, you know, he's been kind of in charge of her legacy for the last 27 years. That's his full-time job. He's responsible for the way she's remembered. So to then become a part of that legacy, it was a huge responsibility. But the interview was great, and he was so helpful throughout this process as well, connecting us with the right people that you know, friends and family that I wanted to talk to. He helped us discover some never before seen footage, and yeah, it was amazing. And interviewing Emma as well was so special. I interviewed her for 10 hours from like sunrise to sunset in her apartment in New York, and yeah, it was really a special experience.
Oh wow. My eyes got watery. I did tear up, especially when one of the parts where he's being interviewed and he's talking, he's pretty much opening his heart. That's where I was like, wow, this is definitely a different kind of documentary.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that was always the intention, to just get people to kind of be as honest as they felt they could be about her, and, you know, not in like a tabloidy way, but just telling the truth about who she was. That's always my aim as a filmmaker, is to get to the truth of a person, and he really helped us to do that.
Mm-hmm. Now in this documentary, you also have something different. You have like this ballerina dancing sequence. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so that was, that decision to include dance in the film was firstly based on, this film was supposed to be released in cinemas, but obviously because of COVID, it wasn't, but that's fine. Like, I'm still really happy that people
will still watch it.
Exactly, yeah. And I think we wanted to have something that elevated the film and made it feel theatrical and cinematic. And we were talking about animation maybe, and then I didn't want to do that. I felt like it was overused. And then we talked about dance, and she loved dance. She wanted to be a ballerina. That was her dream. So to use dance in this kind of abstract way to show her internal struggles, it was quite a bold move, I guess. And dance, as I said, hasn't really been used in a documentary like that. Mm-hmm. But I think she would have loved it as well. I hope if she had seen that. She loved ballet. She went to watch ballet when she was older as well. So I like to think that she would have really appreciated that, us choosing that art form to represent her life. And the three dancers as well that we used were all phenomenal, and Wayne McGregor, the choreographer, collaborating with him was such an special experience.
I'm sure you've watched the documentary quite a few times. Which part would you say has been one of your favorite part, filming and putting together? From, you know, I guess from Audrey's life.
Yeah, God, I've watched this film literally hundreds of times. I think we had like 40 different versions of the film. My favorite part, I loved interviewing Emma. That was a really special day, because you can see Audrey in her, but she's also her own person, and she's an amazing artist, and she's incredibly intelligent, and she just added so much to the film. I loved filming the dance sequences. That was really special, because I felt like I was able to put my mark on the film a bit more by, you know, directing those and writing them, and that was really special. And just, I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite bit, just the whole experience, the art, you know, discovering all that archive of her. I love it was never been seen before. There's archive color footage of her and Mel Ferrer. They're on like a horse farm or something. And when I saw that, I just thought it was so beautiful. And I also discovered a 2-hour long interview, which had never been heard before, with her, which is used throughout the film. Often when you see subtitles, when she's talking English, but the quality was quite bad of the tape, so we subtitled it. That interview had never been heard before. And she talks about her miscarriages, her divorces, her father, everything. And just when I discovered that, that was like a real game changer for the film. I realized then that, you know, it was going to be something quite special because we had this access, and she was so vulnerable and honest and open in it. And it, yeah, that was a real favorite. Just you know, the person who interviewed her, his name's Glenn Plaskin. He just sent me the tapes, and I just sat with my headphones and listened. And I remember just crying because I could hear. I just had never heard her talk like that before. She was so relaxed and honest, and yeah, it was that was really amazing and really emotional part of the film.
So how did you get him to send you those tapes? How did you find them?
So I basically interviewed tons of journalists that I knew had done written interviews with her, and asked whether they had recorded them as well for backup. And one person got back to me, and it was him, and he said he'd recorded her, and she knew she was being recorded. You hear him at the beginning of the tape saying, I'm just going to record you, and she said it's fine. And then he just sent it to me, and yeah, he got the tapes digitized first and sent them to me, and yeah, it was an amazing find. There was one other guy called Alan Riding who said that he recorded it, but he never found the tape, so we don't know what's on that one. Who knows?
So did his family, Sean and Emma, get to listen to that? Were they familiar to it?
They haven't listened to the full thing, actually. That's a good point. I've actually not shared it with them. I should, though. I should, yeah. It's very special. It's funny, they're in like a hotel room, and she's kind of eating lunch and just talking to him, and it's really sweet. And I felt very close to her when I was listening to that, because I think I was aware, like, oh my God, apart from Glenn, I'm the first person to hear this, and yeah, in my flat in London and a million miles away, and I don't know, it was just very special.
That sounds really exciting. I'm sure they would love to hear that footage.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'll share it with them, definitely.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing. And I mean, we get to hear part of that. So I watched the documentary twice. I teared up twice. And now that you're telling me this, I'm gonna have to watch it more times and just like listen to it, because I mean, yeah, I've watched several. I've been a fan growing up.
Cool.
You know, what girl isn't? And I was like, wait, there's some stuff here I've never heard of. And I read a couple of books too growing up.
Oh, your cat.
Oh yeah, she's right there. She
my cat usually comes in and interrupts my Zoom calls, but she's nowhere to be seen.
I missed her. No contact with this one. Well, thank you so much, Helena, for your time and discussing Audrey, More Than an Icon. You definitely do justice with the title and the documentary material. You know, and don't be bummed that it didn't make it to theater. People are still going to watch it, if not even more than once, because they'll have access to rewatch and get that warm, fuzzy heart that we all need right now.
So much. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You too. See you.